Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the most up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is our trading anchor, Bill Olson, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. We're going to get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are moving higher today, with S&P futures up 0.16%, Dow futures up 0.13%, and NASDAQ futures up 0.19%. Both markets and Treasury yields are trending higher as investors assess the earnings upshot of economic reopenings and the outlook for Federal Reserve support in the face of high inflation. Moderna has made a 7.43% jump in pre-market today after being tipped to join the S&Ps next week in place of the recently purchased Alexion Pharmaceuticals. The 10-year Treasury yield has reversed some losses from its third weekly decline. All eyes will now be turning towards corporate earnings, with traders optimistic over resurgent consumer demand tempered by the spread of the coronavirus Delta variant. Market sentiment has been able to remain positive as Fed Chair Jerome Powell has continued to assure the post-lockdown surge in inflation didn't yet warrant a tapering of stimulus. While Powell continues to defend the central bank's accommodative stance, global central banks and policymakers around the world are turning hawkish, leaving investors wondering how long can the U.S. Fed remain dovish. Elsewhere in markets, WTI crude oil has risen today but remains on course for the biggest weekly drop since April, amid uncertainty over an OPEC Plus deal to boost supply. Over in Europe, the Stock 600 gauge advanced after positive earning updates from luxury and retail sectors. Worthy to note, Germany in particular is facing difficulty right now as 80 people have died and hundreds have gone missing in the worst flood the country has ever seen. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
You know, Shane, I've been watching the S&Ps all morning long, and they've been positive. Not only have they been positive, but they've been increasing. So that's a really good sign. You know, there's a key economic catalyst that's coming out this morning, which is the retail sales figure. This report is due out 1 hour before the market opens, and economists really expect for this figure to drop for the second straight month, as they believe consumers are spending more on services and less on big ticket items like automobiles. We also have the University of Michigan's consumer confidence, consumer sentiment figures coming out today as well. That Intel story is hot. Intel is pushing higher as they're in talks to purchase a chip manufacturing facility. I'm looking at oil. Oil still continues to gain ground. I mean, we are looking at $80 a barrel oil in the very near future. Later today, we also have the Baker Hughes rig count figures that are being released. Looking over at Europe. Europe was up this morning. They were showing nice positive gains, but it's since turned around. And you're seeing the FTSE has dropped, the CAC has dropped, the DAX is, need to restate. Mm-hmm. I'm looking over at Europe, and I see Europe has turned around. They were higher at the opening, but now they have since been dropping. The DAX is down, the CAC is down. The FTSE remains only slightly positive, so it's a little bit concerning. And then, they're really concerned about that Delta variant virus that's going on. But what I'm really excited about is the upcoming earnings reports, because earnings season always provides a lift to the market. So this is exciting. I think we're going to have a good quarter. And it started this week, and we've got plenty of things to talk about today and next week.
Let's go ahead and talk about earnings to watch today. Bill, tell us what we're seeing.
Well, let's start with Alcoa from last night. That's ticker AA, Apple. They beat by 15 cents on higher revenue. The CEO basically came out and he said the aluminum segment is forecasting double-digit growth on year-over-year sales. You look at it, even Citi came out and they just upgraded the stock to buy from neutral this morning. They came out with a very strong beat in the raw materials sector. American Outdoors, that's ticker AOUT, Apple, Outside, Under, Tom. They beat by 11 cents, but it was on lower revenue. And then there was State Street, which came out just recently. That's ticker STT, Sam Tom Tom. They beat by 18 cents on higher revenue this morning.
Any insights as far as upcoming earning announcements?
Well, let's talk about Monday. On Monday, we have Tractor Supply Company. That's ticker STCO. Tom, Sam, Charlie, Oscar. Their EPS estimate is $2.94, and the expected move there is 5%. AutoNation, ticker AN, Apple Nancy. EPS estimate there is $2.66, and the expected move there is 10.45% for AutoNation. Monday afternoon, we also have IBM that's going to be releasing International Business Machines. The EPS there is $2.28, and the expected move there is 4.5%. So we get a lot of good earnings coming out on Monday.
Let's talk about economic reports. Bill, what are we seeing as far as reports today?
Well, at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, we have the retail sales figure. This is the one that the market's going to be keying on before the market opens up. At 10 a.m., we have business inventories, and we also have the University of Michigan's consumer sentiment figures. And then at 1 p.m. Eastern time, watch for the Baker Hughes rig count numbers of the number of wells that they've added or dropped for this past week.
Moving into our morning's critical insights, starting things off with one on Intel, ticker INTC. Intel is exploring the potential acquisition of Global Foundries in a deal that could value the semiconductor maker at about $30 billion. There's a chance, however, that Global Foundries chooses to proceed with a planned IPO instead. In other news, MoneyGram International, ticker MGI, is in the beginning of talks with a private equity firm, Advent, about a potential acquisition. Last year, Western Union made an offer for the same company, but the deal never materialized. Some SPAC merger news. Fathom Digital is set to go public through a merger with Altamar Acquisition, that's ticker ATMR. The combined companies are expected to be listed on New York Stock Exchange and have a combined value of $1.5 billion. Elsewhere on the tape, Didi, ticker DIDI, the company's share price is down over 6% in pre-market today on account of the raid that Chinese officials have just launched on site of Didi Global. The probe comes days after numerous government regulatory agencies have visited the company's office in China to conduct a network security review, and each time the company has avoided it. Agencies, including Cyberspace Administration of China and the State Administration for Market Regulation, have visited the office for reviews, as well as officials from the Ministry of Public Security, the Ministry of State Security, and the Ministry of Transport, all of which are part of a delegation that came to see Didi. So things are currently not looking good for Didi. Certainly more to come from that as the day progresses. News on Square, ticker SQ. The CEO of Square, Jack Dorsey, said on Twitter yesterday that Square is creating a new business focused on building an open developer platform with a sole goal of making it easy to create non-custodial, permissionless, and decentralized financial services for Bitcoin. Square's share price is up 1.41% in pre-market. Elsewhere on the tape, the Department of Defense has expanded American Forces Travel, a leisure travel site created with Priceline, ticker BKNG, for current and retired members of all 6 branches of the U.S. military. News on Fubo, ticker FUBO, and Cordish. The companies have completed a market assessment agreement for the forthcoming mobile Fubo Sportsbook in Pennsylvania. The agreement provides for statewide mobile access for both sports betting and internet gaming. Lastly for me, news on ExxonMobil, ticker XOM. The company has signed an MOU to participate in the recently announced Acorn carbon capture and storage project in Scotland. The project plans to capture and store approximately 5 million to 6 million tons of CO2 per year by 2030 from gas terminals. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Shane, I like my news alerts broken down into segments for events and for segments for industries. That way I can quickly get alerts whenever breaking news hits. And then you have the opportunity to trade on it if it's, if there's real valuation appearing. This morning I'm looking at Apple, and there's in my FANG alert. And, what I'm seeing is in the global cell phone market, Apple actually ranks 3rd in terms of market share. Samsung holds the lead with 19%, followed by the Chinese smartphone maker Xiaomi, who has a 17%. Apple's only at 14%. It was rather interesting. Netflix, ticker NFLX, the weekly straddle price is set for an 8.5% move in the stock when they release their quarterly earnings after the bell on July 20th. Facebook, ticker FB. Biden officials met with Facebook about the vaccine misinformation, and they're concluding that Facebook is either not taking them seriously or is hiding something. That's not good for Facebook. Tesla, TSLA. Tesla's vehicle registrations in California rose more than 85% in the second quarter versus last year, largely due to the success of the company's Model Y. Going into my Dow Jones 30 alert, ticker VZ, Verizon. Ericsson and Verizon have entered into a multi-year $8.3 billion 5G deal. Boeing, ticker BA. The FAA is mandating checks on over 9,300 Boeing 737 aircrafts. Pfizer, ticker PFE, has agreed to pay $345 million to resolve claims by consumers who feel that they overpaid for EpiPens due to anti-competitive and unfair practices by the drug maker. Also this morning, what I'm seeing in the option sections is I really want to keep an eye on the airlines. There's something going on here. You look at UAL, and they're going to be reporting after the bell on July 20th. The implied volatility there for the weekly call options is at 48. August is at 41. Now you compare that to the 52-week range, which is 37 to 105. And there might be some opportunity there for UAL. You look at American Airlines, ticker AAL. The thing that here is the option implied volatility is at 51. August is at 48. The 52-week range is 40 to 117. Now, this is ahead of their expected earnings release, which is coming on July 22nd. And also, American Airlines just canceled voluntary leave of 3,300 flight attendants due to increased demands for flights. So you could see some gains in UAL and American Airlines today. In terms of events, Marvel Technologies, that's ticker MRVL, Michael, Richard, Victor, Larry. At 4 p.m. Eastern time, Marvel's holding its annual shareholders meeting. But that's what I'm seeing for events going on today, Shane.
Let's talk about our trade talk picks for today. I'm picking Steel Dynamic as ticker STLD. It's an earnings play, and it's also a raw materials play. So the company is announcing after the close this coming Monday with a $3.44 EPS estimate. A lot of analysts are positive on it, with expectations that earnings growth will be up 619% for the quarter and 361% for the year. Because of inflation and the prices of raw materials trending higher, they're very likely to deliver a strong forecast. So that's my pick. What's yours looking like, Bill?
Oh, I'm going with Tractor Supply Company. That's ticker TSCO, Tom, Sam, Charlie, Oscar. It's an earnings play. Earnings are due out Monday, and they should be positive. The stock is priced for a 5% move, which is nice. Looking over the broker research, and they're all positive. They've been raising price targets. Strong demand and execution are the key here. That's what's going to drive earnings to the upside. So I'm thinking that TSCO should start seeing some momentum today, and that's my pick this morning is Tractor Supply Company.
Moving into what's hot off the press, the news is hitting the tape as we speak, moving the stocks today. Let's get into it. Bill, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about?
Well, I see one on Canada. Canada is looking for September to open the borders for vaccinated travelers from the U.S. I see some on Netflix from Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley feels they face significant challenges for gaming success, and they're cutting their net ads.
Entourage Health has announced a debut of the ticker ENTG on TSX Venture.
Ticker KSU, Kilo Sam under. Kansas City Southern swings to loss on merger costs. DFS is Discover Investment. D.A. Davidson just reiterated it as its top pick. DFS, David Frank Sam.
Bristol Myers, ticker BMY. The phase 3 trial on head and neck cancer, its treatment for these things failed to meet primary endpoints. Some news on Burlington Stores, ticker BURL. The company just announced appointment of Travis Marquette as president and COO. He's also formerly the CFO at Ross Stores, and analysts are saying that this is going to be positive news for them, and the buy rating has moved up to $385 price target specifically for Jefferies. Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
No, that's all I'm seeing today, Shane.
Same here. So that'll do it for what's hot the press. Traders, keep in mind you can receive the same breaking news that we do simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out for a free trial today. It'll definitely up your trading game. Moving into our scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Thursday. I had Bed Bath & Beyond, ticker BBBY, which opened at $27.99. Had a few ups and downs, but really remained relatively flat for the day, closing a little bit lower at $27.68 for a 1.1% loss. Looking a little bit more positive in pre-market this morning. How'd your pick end up doing, Bill?
My pick yesterday was JBHT, JB Hunt. Stock opened up at $168.59, increased by 1.26% to $170.71. Finished the day lower at 167.76.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk, but traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.